Coach Pittman, appreciate you joining us, especially with everything else that you got to worry about these days, COVID-related, prep-related, leading into this first game against Georgia. So how are you on this Friday?
Man, I'm doing great. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. So let me ask, I mean, it's a simple question here. It's 8 days before Arkansas opens the season, and with all the hard work that usually goes into a football season, your team's probably had to work even harder and be more disciplined because of the need to keep the virus off your team and keep everybody healthy. So with all that's happened in these last, I mean, I would say 6 months, but really for the last 3-4 months for you, what would you say your mindset is right now? Are you anxious? Are you nervous? Confident? Excited? What word would you use to describe your thoughts 8 days before opening day?
Oh, I'm very excited. You know, today we start Georgia prep, and I'm excited to get started. I think our players are excited as well. You know, I think with COVID, we've spent so much time on COVID and our board, and you know who's ready to go, who's going to take another few days, and all this kind of stuff. That there has been a lot of time spent with COVID, but right now we're kind of pretty sure who we're going to have, and of course we have 3-4 more tests to do before the first game. But we're ready to go, and we're excited to get into Georgia week.
Is it safe to say that as you get into your first week of game prep, that it's become, you know, the routine of how to handle a football team for your players, for your coaches, for you? Has it become an actual routine now? And, you know, knowing the things you've got to do to keep the virus off? Because it sounds like you guys have done a pretty good job at keeping your players healthy.
Well, I think we have done a nice job. You know, there's so many obstacles out there, you know, for our kids, you know, with class and students and, you know, fans and whatever it may be. But they've done a nice job with that. It is nice to get into a routine. You know, we've moved our time up 15 minutes, how it's going to be during the season. And today will be, again, like a normal Monday for us, and it'll be exciting to see how that works out.
I know you really can't tell necessarily until the rhythm of the season starts and you see how your team and players individually react from tough moments. But, you know, the word I hear you use a lot, and a lot of other people around the program felt might have lacked in previous years, was toughness. And I think that's one of the things you're all about. Line play is all about toughness and nastiness. And I don't know, you know, how you can what you expect out of the team as far as toughness is concerned going into the season, but how do you teach toughness to a program that might have lacked that in the last few years?
Well, it starts with mental toughness. I mean, you have to be tough in the mind before you can physically be tough. And so we've spent a lot of time on building confidence. You know, even if I get hit in practice and not laying on the ground, I mean, get up, man. And, you know, obviously if he's not injured. So it's just the reaction. It's the body language. It's showing guys on film how they're having success. And the reason is because I ran to the ball, I chased the ball, and I knocked the guy out whenever I got there. It's not, hey, you're going to be tough. I know you're a tough person. You have to physically show a guy him being tough. And then once he sees that, and you praise that and you're happy about that, then I think he wants some more of that action, and the next thing you know, you got one, then you get 5, then you get 15, then you get a whole team of guys that are mentally tough, and then you can translate it into the weight room, the mindset, the confidence, and that's when you become a physically tough football team.
I think sometimes people think that a team is a reflection upon their coach. I do think that's true to a point. I think they're also reflections of their own teammates and their leaders that they play with day in and day out. So I was intrigued by the team captains because each and every one of them has a different story behind them of something they've had to fight from. Felipe fighting back from this terrible injury to prove that he still is a very effective quarterback. Grant Morgan, a walk-on. Rakeem coming out of JUCO ball. And Jonathan Marshall, who's a quiet leader. But I just found it very interesting, the team's choices of the captains. And to me, it seems that they kind of typify some of that toughness that you're trying to teach.
Well, I think you're 100% correct. And I always found it's such a neat game. Football is such a neat game because of the team aspect of it. And you look, you just said it. I mean, Felipe's coming in as a transfer. Boyd from JUCO. Marshall's a graduate. He's going to graduate school that wears cowboy boots around all the time with big old belt buckles. And Morgan's a walk-on from the state of Arkansas. It's just really neat to see how everybody comes together on a football team when you have the right leadership. And we certainly feel like we're headed in that direction. The other thing on toughness, too, I always said this, that you need one. I always needed one guy on the O-line that was a tough, straining son of a gun. And then he'll bring two. And then that two guys, they'll bring three. And before you know it, you got 6, 7, 8 guys. It's the same way on a team. If you got to find one, and then he'll bring another guy, he'll bring another guy, and I think that's what's happening to our football team right now.
Speaking of Razorback head coach Sam Pittman here on Halftime. Coach, I want to put the Christmas bow on your fall camp that was just having that you guys have been working on up until Georgia Prep Week. We'll talk about Georgia here in just a second. Who were some of your biggest surprises between you and your coaching staff from fall camp?
Good question. KJ Jefferson, I thought he had a really good fall camp. Brady Latham as an offensive lineman really had. I tell you what, I really like Tyson Morris, a wide receiver. I think he's done a nice job. And then if you look over on the D line, I think Coach is a little bit better than what maybe even I thought he would be. Dorian Gerald, coming back from his injury, has had a little bit of a surprise because he has gotten bigger and things of that nature. Andrew Parker's been a surprise at a linebacker. Then you go on the defense. Obviously, we knew about Mo and Boucher and those guys, but I think Greg Brooks has had a really good fall camp along with Jerry Jacobs. And then sometimes when you go grad transfer route, and you don't really know what you have, but I've been really pleased with A.J. Reed, our kicker. He's done a really nice job for us too, and and certainly George Carrington at punter. So we've added some talent and some depth to our football team via the transfer portal, and a lot of times that's a crapshoot. It's a 50-50 or worse situation, but we've really done a nice job adding to our football program through the grad transfer.
You've mentioned several times, and we've spoke about it here on our show a lot too, been the shuffling it tied in. You've mentioned just like some players trying to get up and grab that number one spot for the tight end spot. We've mentioned Hudson Henry. We've talked about Blaine Toll and a host of other tight ends. Where's the tight end race right now? Because we've also spoke about having the one tight end or maybe a double tight end set within this offense.
Well, I always want to have a possibility of going 12 personnel. In other words, one back, two tight ends. And I did not feel comfortable yet at that position. Therefore, we moved Blaine Toll over there. We moved Marcus Henderson over there. And so right now we are young. Of course, with Kern, he would be a veteran. But if you look at Henry, Toll, and Henderson, they're all very, very young, but they're all very talented. And so I think that position there will keep improving as the year goes on, simply because of the youth in that area. I did not say that they're not good players. They're just young, and I think they'll get better throughout the season.
You got a fan base that is just eager for this thing to get back and moving in the right direction. I know you and the coaching staff are eager, but I think what I'm really been impressed with, and as a fan, you've seen a lot of these players that are showing confidence. They're eager. They're ready to show the world what this Arkansas team is made of. And I'm just curious, from your perspective as the head coach, you're overseeing everything. What's the culture around these players right now and the coaches leading into this in the first game week under your regime at Arkansas?
It's been really good. I mean, I think every program in the country right now is very, very positive and things of that nature. I want to see how our football team reacts when we get hit in the mouth. And I believe that it's going to be, I'm going to fight back. And I want to see how they react when we get ahead and how we, are we going to put the ham, we're going to go after them at that point, or are we going to let up? And I think you don't know everything about your football team until you get them out there on Saturday and see how they react to a negative or a positive situation. So that's really what I'm looking forward to see how we react, and I think it's going to be a very positive situation when that happens.
Just got a couple more questions here for you, Coach Pittman, and then we'll let you go. I know you got a lot going on here. I want to ask about everybody playing multiple positions on the offensive line, as you've talked about. And I know that there's, got to be multiple reasons for that, one of which is not the least that, Hunter Yurachek on the Morning Rush this morning said that, if you had to play tomorrow, there would be some players that would not be able to take part. We don't know the names. We're not going to ask them, but this is an era where we've all had to adjust our lives. And even in the context of a football team, even to a position group like the offensive linemen, you got to be ready for what you don't really know could happen, right? So is this why you've had the guys shuffling around during practice, playing a lot of different positions on the O-line? And in a more general sense, how do you feel about your offensive line group right now?
In part, the answer is yes. In part, COVID has played a part of your preparation. Now, I'll say this, that the secondary is the same way, the linebackers, everybody on our team that can play multiple positions has done that. And it's simply because of the COVID and the test. If you lose someone, are you ready? It doesn't have to be the second-team guy. We need the best guy. And do we need to move somebody in? Partly on the O-line, it was that way. And then the other part, we just didn't know our players. And we're trying to get it to know them. We're trying to get the five best, who's 6, who's 7, who's the backup center, all those type things. I feel confident about our offensive line. They work, and I love them. They work hard. They're starting to get a little bit of nasty to them. And so, yes, COVID has played a huge part of everything that we do, to be honest with you. There's so many teams that's not able to play, and we're certainly not in that situation, but it has affected our football team.
Last thing I want to touch on here. Well, I think one thing that has been obvious to anybody that's paid attention since your hiring, and before that too during your time at Georgia, you are an outstanding communicator. You're people can tell when they're being fed a line or they're being told something that doesn't feel like the truth. I don't think there's a single person that's listened to you speak, either in your radio show the last couple of weeks or media interviews, and I would assume in your one-on-one conversations with players and with your coaches. You are plain-spoken, you are honest, and I think everybody across this state really appreciates that. But where did that come from? Where did you learn how to communicate in the way that you do? Because to be honest, it's refreshing.
Well, I don't know. I just am who I am, and I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm trying to be the best guy I can be, and the only way I know how to do that is to tell the truth. And, sometimes the truth hurts me. Sometimes it hurts the person I'm talking to, but that's the only way I know how to do it. And I'll tell you something else, that accomplishments in my life have not affected me as in, well, I'm better than somebody else, or I make more money, so I'm a better person than somebody. I don't believe that. I believe that everybody, the man is the man, the lady's the lady, and people I want people to like me. And the only way I know how to do that is to be honest with them. and not promise a whole bunch of things that I can't, I can't bite off more than I can chew. I can just go in here and know that I'm proud to be the head coach at Arkansas, and we're going to work every day to be the best football team we can be. And that's all I know how to do.
Well, it's like you said many times before, this is a proud damn state. And I think even before this team has played one single game, I think you got a state that's already pretty proud of you to begin with. Appreciate your time, Coach Pittman. Thank you so much. Good luck in the lead up to Georgia. We'll be rooting for you, of course.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Go Hogs. We need them 16,000 to be loud now next Saturday.
That's right. 16,000. 16,000. In fact, the Razorback Twitter account just put out an entire list of things that will look completely different leading into this upcoming football season.
Awesome stuff, Coach.
I enjoy the conference. I enjoy talking with Sam Pittman. I enjoy listening to him. I cannot wait to see what he's like as a head coach during the game. That's like the one thing that's left, right?
We just have we got to see the proof now.
That's right. I think you're going to see a team that comes out, that plays hard, that plays tough. They might not win, but I think they'll come back the next week and give great effort. I think you're going to expect to see outstanding effort from this team all season long.